Welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive. This week, we're looking ahead to the trading week of December 30th.
Should be an interesting one.
It is going to be a short week
Right.
with the New Year's holiday, but even with a short week,
Yeah.
we've got some really important economic reports that are coming out.
Absolutely.
So let's jump into it. We are going to talk about what to expect from these reports, what the experts are predicting,
Yep.
and you know what the potential market reactions are going to be if those numbers come in hot or if they fall short of expectations. So we're kicking things off on Monday, December 30th, with the Chicago Business Barometer, also called the Chicago PMI.
Yep.
And this is one that gives us a look at the business sentiment in the Chicago area,
Right.
which can be a good leading indicator for the broader national economy.
Exactly.
Now, this particular PMI has been
It's been
making some noise lately. It's been below 50 for a full year now.
for a whole year.
And below 50 means,
Below 50 indicates a contraction.
yeah, in that manufacturing sector.
Yeah.
And actually, this 12-month slump is the longest we've seen
Longest since the Great Recession.
since the 2008 recession.
That's right.
Wow. So is this a Chicago problem, or is it a canary in a coal mine
Right.
for the entire national economy?
Yeah. Is it a regional thing or is it going to be
Yeah.
more widespread? We're going to see.
Now, economists are forecasting a reading of about 47
Okay.
for this upcoming report, which again would still be contraction territory.
Right.
But if it comes in much lower than that,
Mm-hmm.
that could really rattle some nerves, I think.
It could spook the market a little bit. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Because then it really does point to a slowdown. You know, if it's just Chicago, then
Right.
you could kind of write that off. But if it's much lower, then it's like, okay, is this spreading?
Yeah.
And then that could be a concern. On the flip side, if it's above 50,
Right.
that would be a big
That
surprise.
might be a big surprise.
And that would be very positive.
Yeah.
And the market would like that.
Okay, so we got the Chicago PMI
Yep.
on the radar.
Yep.
Also on Monday, we have the pending home sales report. This index tracks signed contracts
Yeah.
for existing homes.
Right.
So it gives us a little glimpse into that future sales activity.
Exactly. Future demand.
And this report is going to be interesting, I especially in light of,
Oh, for sure.
the recent volatility that we've seen in mortgage rates.
Exactly. Mortgage rates have been all over the place.
Yeah. And despite these higher rates, pending home sales actually jumped 4.3%
Wow.
year over year in early November.
That's a pretty big jump.
But we are seeing some signs of cooling demand in certain markets. So
It's a mixed bag.
it's a mixed bag.
Out there for sure.
Yeah. Economists are predicting a 2% increase for this upcoming report. If that number comes in higher than that,
Okay.
it could signal continued strength in the housing market,
Yeah.
which would be good for the broader economy.
Sure.
But if it misses,
Right.
that could raise some concerns.
Right. Yeah. Then we might have a slowdown.
Yeah.
A little bit of a slowdown there.
Okay. Then we move on to Tuesday, December 31st. We are watching the S&P Case-Shiller Home Price Index.
Okay.
This tracks changes in residential real estate prices across 20 major U.S. cities.
All right.
And the previous reading showed a year-over-year increase of 4.6%.
Yeah. So prices are still going up.
So this report, I think, is really going to test the resilience of the housing market. We've seen
Yeah. We've seen pretty consistent increases.
steady price appreciation,
Yeah.
but with affordability becoming a growing concern.
Right. It's getting more expensive.
That trend going to continue.
Right. Can it keep going? Yeah. That's a good question.
And to add to that,
Yeah.
the CoreLogic S&P Case-Shiller Index, which focuses on a slightly different set of cities,
Hmm.
has actually posted 5 consecutive months
Okay.
year-over-year increases.
Wow.
And CoreLogic is forecasting an average of 3% increase in home prices for 2024.
So they're expecting it to continue.
So Tuesday's Case-Shiller report will be a key data point, I think, in gauging the accuracy of those forecasts.
For sure. We'll see if they're right or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what's interesting? I was talking to a colleague the other day,
Right.
and they specialize in real estate. And they were saying that the luxury market seems to be doing really well,
Interesting.
and it's kind of holding up the rest of it.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see if that strength is reflected in the Case-Shiller data.
Yeah, especially with all the economic uncertainty that we've been seeing, in other areas.
X.
Okay, so we power through Monday and Tuesday.
Yep.
We gather all that housing data, and then it's party time.
That's right.
Markets are closed Wednesday, January 1st for New Year's.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year. But we're back at it. Bright and early, Thursday, January 2nd.
Back to the grind.
starting with initial jobless claims. This report tells us how many people filed for unemployment for the first time. So it's a really crucial gauge of the labor market's health.
Yeah, absolutely.
The previous reading came in at 220,000, which was down slightly from the week before.
Okay.
So the question is, will that downward trend continue? The 4-week moving average has been relatively stable, but any surprises here could definitely send ripples through the market.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the labor market has been like one of the bright spots,
Right.
in the economy lately. So if we see a sudden jump in jobless claims,
Yeah.
that's definitely going to cause some concern, because it could indicate that businesses are starting to slow down their hiring.
Right.
And then that could lead to slower economic growth,
Yeah.
On the flip side, if we see claims continue to decline or stay low, that's really positive.
Yeah.
That shows strength in the labor market.
Also on Thursday,
Okay.
we have the construction spending report, which tracks spending on new construction projects.
Right.
This one I think is often overlooked,
Yeah.
but it's a pretty good indicator of the overall economic activity.
Yeah, it is. I mean, construction is a big part of the economy, so
Right.
it definitely makes sense to keep an eye on that.
Yeah, the previous reading showed a modest increase of 0.4%.
Yeah.
So if that upward trend continues, that would be a positive sign for the economy. But if we see a slowdown in construction spending,
Yeah.
that could raise concerns about the pace of the economic expansion.
Exactly.
And then last but not least,
Really?
we wrap up the week on Friday, January 3rd with the ISM manufacturing report.
Okay.
This one is a biggie. It surveys purchasing managers in the manufacturing sector
Yeah.
to give us insight into their outlook on business conditions.
Right.
And this report has been kind of a downer lately. The previous reading was 48.4,
Yeah.
which, again, below 50,
Below 50, not good.
indicates contraction in the sector.
Right. So is manufacturing just adjusting to a post-pandemic world, or is it a sign of something worse?
Yeah, is this a post-pandemic
Right.
adjustment, or is it a sign of a bigger problem?
Exactly.
So Friday's report will be closely watched, I think, for any signs of improvement or further decline. What are you thinking?
Well, the consensus forecast is for a reading of 49.0, which is still below 50.
Right.
So it's still contractionary. But it does suggest that maybe the pace of decline is slowing.
Right.
So that would be a little bit of a positive sign. I think ideally, though, investors want to see a reading above 50.
Yeah.
That would be a much stronger signal
Right.
that the sector is really turning a corner.
Right.
But, if the number comes in below expectations, then, I think we're going to see some more anxiety about a potential recession.
It is so interesting how all of these reports are interconnected.
Oh, absolutely.
From housing to manufacturing to jobs.
It's all connected.
They're like all pieces of this giant economic puzzle.
It is a giant puzzle, yeah.
And by putting them all together,
Yeah.
we can get a clear picture of where the economy is headed. You mentioned earlier that you'd been talking to your colleague
Yeah.
about the real estate market.
Yeah.
What other insights have you gathered from talking to experts in different fields?
Well, one thing that comes up a lot is the potential impact of AI
Oh, yeah.
on the labor market. There's a lot of debate about whether AI is going to create more jobs than it destroys.
Right.
Or vice versa.
It's a big question.
It's a huge question.
Yeah.
And it has really far-reaching implications. So it's something that I think investors are watching very closely.
AI is definitely a game changer. It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. But for now, let's bring it back to the week ahead.
Right.
We covered housing,
Yep.
manufacturing,
Uh-huh.
jobs,
Yeah.
the whole shebang.
A lot of ground.
It's a lot to digest.
So as we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with something to think about. As you get ready for this trading week,
Yeah.
which report are you going to be watching the closest? Which one is the most important to you? Ooh, that's a good question. What's going to move the needle for you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are your investment goals?
Right.
What sectors are you most interested in?
Right.
Are you worried about a recession? Are you bullish on housing?
What are your expectations for the economy?
Yeah.
By thinking about those questions,
Yeah.
you can really prioritize the reports that matter the most to you
Exactly. Focus on what's important to you.
and form a more informed outlook, I think.
Exactly.
This is just the starting point. We encourage you to keep digging into these topics.
Absolutely.
Look at the data
Yeah.
and form your own conclusions.
That's right.
This world of economics and finance is constantly changing.
Always changing.
So you got to stay informed.
Stay ahead of the curve.
So as we head into the new year,
Yeah.
big question.
Yeah, me.
Will this economic momentum continue,
Right.
or are we headed for a correction?
The million-dollar question.
This week's reports
Yeah.
will give us some clues.
Some hints. But ultimately, the answer is going to play out over the next few months.
That's right. Time will tell.
So stay tuned.
Saying and
And happy investing, everyone.
Happy New Year.